Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out in africanews.com. There are many that said Black people can't farm, which is the most laughable thing ever. And don't ever believe the hype, ladies and gentlemen. We are very capable people. And when we put our minds to something, we usually go above and beyond. This is why there are people that will come and try to sabotage us or try to imply we have done nothing, because they really have nothing more to fight us with other than a bunch of character assassination crap. And don't worry about that, because less and less of that is really making an impact these days. They can keep making the attempt. What good is it really going to do them? Zimbabwe tobacco output at all-time high, defying years of economic gloom. They are now saying that these farmers, and many of them are Black farmers, I want to add, are doing so well with tobacco in Zimbabwe that it will literally pull them out of all of their economic problems just on the tobacco fields alone. Zimbabwe is actually doing very well. I was looking at some of the articles on their farming. See, this is what they will never put in the media, because, see, they want you to believe without white farmers owning everything, everything's going to go to hell. Well, that's not the case at all. So when these stories come out, they pretty much get buried. They don't want you to know that these Black farmers are doing exceptionally well and growing in Zimbabwe. And so I'm going to pull these stories out every now and then and show you. So this came out in July 23rd. Zimbabwe's tobacco sales have reached a record high of 237.1 million kilos, just as the selling season nears its end. Figures that could help ease the country's severed dollar shortage, and a sign that controversial land reforms could be working. And that's what they don't want you to see. It is working. It is working. Okay, so this came out in Africa News, and I will post the link to this article in the description box. So since land was transferred from white farmers that were dominating everything, and now a lot of Black people that in Africa have left their jobs and got into farming, and they're doing well. I was reading about sesame seeds, vanilla. I mean, all kinds of crops are coming up and doing well in Zimbabwe. Tobacco is Zimbabwe's second biggest export. It accounts for a quarter of Zimbabwe's 3.8 billion in total export earnings in 2017, behind gold. The sector was previously dominated by white farmers until they were forcibly evicted in a controversial government land seizure drive in 2000. Tens of thousands of Black farmers who benefited from the land reforms are growing tobacco, and they're doing, ladies and gentlemen, they are breaking records in tobacco in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe Mutezi, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, worked as a waitress until a year ago when she started farming tobacco on family land seized in 2000. The 28-year-old supports her sisters and extended family through farming. She said this season's sales have been so good, she will be investing her profits to expand crop coverage. This is a Black female farmer. African in Zimbabwe. So it is good to see both the men and women excelling at this. As I came now, I see everything is better because if I manage to get a lot of money, like this season, I can be able to get like $3,000. I can survive the whole. I can even buy another input to put in to go back and plow again. So it's been better for me because it can change my life. It's something that can really change my life. Good for her. Good for her. You know, these people have been poor and struggling for too long. It is good to see that they are optimistic about being in farming. And I believe you're going to see the same thing happen in South Africa that you see in Zimbabwe. Now, they'll talk about, well, look at what happened economically. That's because the West put all kinds of sanctions on Zimbabwe to ensure they would fail. But see, now that these people got the land, they can now move on farming. And as you can see, those Black farmers are kicking butt in Zimbabwe, especially in tobacco. Growing demand from China, the world's largest smoking nation, and funding from private tobacco companies have boosted output, which plunged to its lowest in 2008. Now, in 2008, didn't the white farmers have it? And how come it plunged to its lowest in 2008? Okay, so now moving on. In the previous years, we could not satisfy the market. By now, what it means is that we are able to satisfy our orders. So it means more foreign currency, and it also means more income to the tobacco merchants. For the farmers, yeah, they are benefiting quite a lot because the more the tobacco you have, the more money that you get, said tobacco buyer Edwin Maringa. Tobacco Industry and Market Board data shows that sales of the crops at local auctions have eclipsed the previous record of 236.9 million kilo in 2000. Back then, 4,000 white farmers produced 85% of the crop. This year, 111,000 farmers grow tobacco, up to 81,000 last year. Okay, so it says right here, okay, so this is some TEM chief executive, Dr. Andrew Morbituri. More people are farming on smaller plots, which has boosted production despite a mid-season drought. So although they're going through a drought, the tobacco is just exploding in Zimbabwe. This is good news. This is good news. See, they're doing exactly what people said they would not be able to do. You know, y'all, it's like Black Wall Street. During the Depression, Black people became multi-millionaires on Black Wall Street. See, don't ever listen to a group of people with a history of hating us tell us what we can and cannot do. If they can do it, you can best believe we can do it. There is no such thing they can do something and we can't. No such thing. Don't ever buy into that or believe it. It has no truth to it whatsoever. The transformation that happened, in other words, the change of profile of the grower from the large scale farmer producing an average of 40 hectares to the small scale farmer producing an average of 1 hectare has been very beneficial to the industry. It has allowed more people, more households to benefit from the very lucrative crop And it has also put Zimbabwe tobacco crop in line with the rest of the world. There you go. And that's with more Black people farming it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You see how they're debunking all of that stuff. If white farmers don't own the land and do the farming, they're going to all starve. If they're making enough money off of this tobacco, no one will starve. No one will starve. They're all excited that they're getting this money and they're able to do more for their families. And I hope the Most High keeps blessing these folks so that they can continue to pull themselves out of poverty through farming. Good for them. We want change here. We want things to change so that people can have jobs. They can do more farming, you understand, because as we were young, we grow on farms. That is how we are based in Zimbabwe. So I think it is something that can change life for a lot of young people who are just, coming up. Says Simbalzi, tobacco has become the biggest success story of the government's land reform, which Mugabe defended as necessary to correct skewed colonial land ownership. So, ladies and gentlemen, since land reform in Zimbabwe, these Black farmers are putting out record number tobacco. So stop listening to people that make this claim that we can't feed ourselves without them. What kind of fucking joke are they trying to tell us? Okay, because that's what it is, a joke. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And all I can say to Zimbabwe Black farmers, now that you are growing all of this tobacco, I hope all of you can get each other out of the poverty you're in and bring that country back up to a level where it is a force to be reckoned with on this earth. That's what I hope for Zimbabwe. And I hope once land reform is completed in South Africa, they can look at what Zimbabwe Black farmers are doing and duplicate the same thing. There is nothing we can't do when we put our minds to it. Nothing. Peace, family.